Hi, I'm Kat, and I'm back. Wow, are you tired of that catch line? I can't help it. You know, after so many times, it just has to be. So, in this video, I want to do a quick discussion about the seven. And it came to me while I was looking at the video regarding brand and timelines and this idea about things repeating and how we hear things repeating in the history of Westeros, very much like Ragnarok, etc., the apocalypse. Things that were will come again. So winter was, and winter is coming. Azor Ahai was, and Azor Ahai is coming. And there was this little scene. There was this little scene, and it didn't strike me at first until I was doing the video about the repetition, where it told me that the seven were, and the seven will come again. And besides that timeline video, I want to do a shout out right now to Rawrist. If you go to Rawrist, it's Rawrist, and she has this little video that she did that was kind of like, oh look, the Starks, and they're lined up, and when you look at them, they're like the seven, right? The personas of the seven in the faith of the seven. And Ned Stark was the father, and Caitlyn was the mother, and Robb was the warrior, and Sansa was the maid, and I don't know, Bran was the, she said something about the crone, like, so the one of wisdom, and Rickon maybe was the builder, and that Arya would be then the stranger. And we know in their paths that they've gone along that some of this is coming true, but some of them obviously are not, because guess what? So Ned's dead, so it's going to be hard for him to be the father unless he's just like the father up above or whatever. But so the scene that clued me in to there was two scenes actually that clued me into the, oh look, the seven is repeating, and that is one in the beginning. Sansa is sewing a cloak and some clothes for Jon Snow. And she's already sewn herself some clothes, and it's got a wolf on it, and, you know, embroidery, and it's kind of cool. You know, the Wonder Twins or the Incredibles uniforms, whoever, somebody, the superheroes uniforms. She sewed one for Jon, and she handed it to him, and she said, I made it just like what father used to wear. So now the question is, does that make Jon the father? Because we know what Sansa's role is going to be. Sansa is the maid. Although, you know, physically, she's not the maid anymore, Ramsay. Although in the book, that never happened. So, you know, book, series, whatever. But I believe what will happen in the near future is she's going to be a widow. And she will just, and, you know, I think Littlefinger is going to poof, and pretty much anybody else who might know what the hell happened to her will either not be there or not say a damn word, because they're going to be afraid in the future. And so she'll be just like, nothing ever happened. I'm a maid. And she won't get married for sure. Whether she, you know, whether the idea that she never had sex becomes, you know, the story in the future, you know, when somebody writes it, or just the idea that she had these marriages and none of the husbands are still her husbands or survive or whatever happens, she will probably never marry again. And I'm going to shout out that one to the Game of Thrones Academy guys. I think that's exactly what she is. So she sews Jon Snow an outfit and said, I made it just like father's. The second one that told me the seven was and will come again was Arya. She's talking to the faceless man. They're talking about this this assassination. She's basically been handed and said, go do this, and she went and checked out the lady, and the lady seemed like a nice normal person, and so she came back and she was asking Jaqen a bunch of questions about, you know, why kill this lady, And Jaqen gives her this answer where he says, do only the bad people die? And of course the answer is no. So if you get the idea not just of the faceless men, but of death in general, and in the Middle Ages, in fact, there was this concept of death as a skeleton with a scythe riding on a horse. And there was this whole woodcut series of pictures that showed that death came for everybody. Death came for the poor man and the rich man. He came for the merchant and the scholar, the pope and the king. And there was no avoiding death. And in fact, John Donne wrote a famous poem, which in fact he said that basically death comes for everyone. For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Okay, so who is Arya? Well, Arya is the stranger, and somebody else has already talked about this. Like I said, I think it was Game of Thrones Academy. I can't remember exactly which one, but definitely Raw Wrist was the one that talked about the Seven being the Starks. Now, do I think the Seven are totally the Starks now? No, because a bunch of the Starks are gone. Well, where's Robb? He can't be the warrior. He's dead. Maybe Jon Snow is the warrior and Ned stays the father. Or now Jon Snow's the father. Who's going to be the warrior? So let's talk about the mother, by the way, and why it's not just the Starks. We already know about who the mother is, right? We saw it. She was being carried on people's shoulders. Misa, the mother. She's the mother. Okay, so we got the maid. We got the father or the warrior. I think he's the father. We got the stranger, and we got the mother. So what we need is the crone, and we need the crone, and we need the builder, and possibly the warrior, depending on which one Jon Snow is actually fulfilling. So who might be the crone? Well, maybe it's Melisandre, or it's the Kiva or Kirsha or whatever the K-name Red Priestess is over in Meereen, right? Because when they take off their necklaces, what are they? They're old, and they're foretelling the future and whatever. Some other people said, well, maybe this isn't really gender specific. I saw somebody talking about, the gender specific and how many of the prophecies are thought to be gender specific, and then they turn out to be like, well, no, it could go either way. It's the prince or the princess that's promised, right? Something like that. So, so it could be one of the old crones, or maybe Bran, since he's in the tree and he's going to grow old at some point or whatever. He's the crone. He's the one with the knowledge. Or even somebody said something about Tarly. So I'm not sure who the builder's going to be. Bran or Rickon. Do we know if Rickon's going to survive? I don't know. Maybe there's somebody else who's the builder. Maybe it's Tyrion, right? Because after the whatever's about to come, the big apocalypse, the big, song of fire and ice, something bad is going to go down, and lots of things are going to be destroyed, either physically or mentally, structurally, organizationally, I guess is a better word to look at it, as that there's going to be massive change, and somebody's going to have to build on top of it. So who's going to be the builder? And shout out to Game of Thrones Academy dudes again. Maybe the builder's Tyrion, because you could see he's the guy that thinks about things and tries to put things together. And he, like in Meereen right now, he's trying to put down the rebellion through negotiations. We think that's not necessarily going to be work out exactly how he wants, and I'm pretty damn sure, based on some sneak things that are coming out of the Winds of Winter book that's going to be released. So think about that for a second. The things that were will be again. There was winter before, and a long night, and winter is coming. The Azor Ahai was before. Azor Ahai is going to come again. And now we have the seven. So the seven came with the Andals, and the seven are reappearing in the shapes of, or in the characters of the different main personas in the story. So tell me what you think. Who are the seven? Who are the seven? And I do want to make one final comment about that. So if the seven were and the seven come again, and then we have this religion of Roholar, the single God, the monotheistic religion of the single God, is he, which one is going to prevail? And we know in medieval times that that in fact the seven in George R.R. Martin's book kind of represents Catholicism, and that in England that eventually Protestantism, Protestants became the ruling religion actually in England. So, but everybody still knows about who the mother is, the Virgin Mary, right? And who the father is, and that Jesus equals the warrior in some respects. So, anyways, think about that. What's going to happen? The seven were and the seven comes again. Who is it? Thanks. I'll talk to you later.